Brock Purdy down with a serious injury. DeMeco Ryans has officially agreed to a 6-year deal with the Houston Texans. That came out earlier today. And to break down all of that and more is Matt Maiocco, our friend from NBC Sports Bay Area. Matt is on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Matt, let's start with DeMeco. How much will his absence impact this defense?
Well, I mean, that all remains to be seen. DeMeco Ryans is a highly respected coach, not just from the X's and O's standpoint. In fact, that might have been about the least of what made him impressive. It's just the way he managed people, the way he was able to drive the guys, to push them hard without, also knowing when to back off. He's just a very good people person, a very good manager of personalities and of different types of guys. And so he really related well to his players. And I think, for enters, they're going to be going under some changes here. There will be changes at every level of the defense, no question about it. But there's still a lot of talent on that defense. So whoever they decide to hire as the next defensive coordinator, it's a tough act to follow. I mean, the team finished number 1 in the NFL and fewest yards allowed and fewest points allowed. So there will be some drop-off. I don't know that there's any other ways that defense can go. But the person who steps into that job is going to have some really good talent at his disposal too.
We've heard the name of Vic Fangio thrown around, but it seems like that's close to a done deal in Miami. Do you think Kyle Shanahan gets a chance to talk to Fangio before any final decisions are made on either side of that?
Oh, I would say so. Yeah, I would guess. Well, I don't even need to guess. I can tell you that they've definitely spoken. Once it became apparent that DeMeco Ryans would become a head coach, or at least be in that process to become a head coach, there's no doubt that Kyle Shanahan and Vic Fangio have talked. Fangio was a free agent coach, and he didn't have a job this last season, so he could have talked to any team at any time. And he actually did some consulting work with the Philadelphia Eagles this season. So he's out there for any team to take. And I know it was reported a couple days ago that the Dolphins had struck an agreement with him. That was not the case. Fangio went on the record as saying that he had not made any decision. He can basically pick where he wants to go. And, are the 49ers in that conversation? It's not, the talent they have right now doesn't lend itself to what Vic Fangio likes to do defensively as far as being a 3-4 coach. But I know that back in 2017, Kyle Shanahan wanted to hire Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. So he's an admirer of Fangio, and it would surprise me if they haven't had those conversations and kind of figured out for both sides, which way they want to go in this.
Matt Maiocco from NBC Sports Bay Area is with us here, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. Matt, some other names have been brought up today. Steve Wilkes, former interim head coach in Carolina, D.C. before that, also obviously the head coach in Arizona, and also Chris Harris, who did some coaching in Washington this year. Any other ideas of where this thing might head and what this might look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think his first priority, speaking of Kyle Shanahan, would to be to stick with that kind of old Seattle lineage, or at least people who run that kind of system, so that there's not this dramatic change going from Robert Saleh to DeMeco Ryans, whoever the next coordinator is going to be. So that's what you kind of look like, as far as the Gus Bradley type or the Dan Quinn type. I think that's where you'd be looking at. And so, I mean, it's a good situation. I mean, I think that Kyle Shanahan has really put together great coaching staffs since he's been with the 49ers. And I expect for this year, for this defensive coordinator opening, he'll be able to get the guy he wants. Just a matter of exactly what he's looking for in any areas of the defense where, as much as they want to keep things the same, he also wants to give his coordinator a little bit of freedom to do his own thing, to put his own stamp on the defense. And so, they'll be looking to find someone who has some ideas that Kyle Shanahan believes that his defense can improve with and can kind of take it and evolve in a different direction and, not be predictable and keep offensive coordinators on their toes.
All right, let's get to the biggest question that suddenly, once again, is a big question for the 49ers, and that's the quarterback position. How close, Matt, do you think they were to just riding Brock Purdy into next season as their starting quarterback? How much do you think the injury changes that, and what does some kind of contingency plan look like if they are going to go with Brock Purdy?
Yeah, well, I would say that Brock Purdy proved that he was the quarterback for the future by being the quarterback of the present. Talking about those final 8 games of the season, how well he performed in the regular season, and how well he played in the postseason. I don't know that he really left any doubt, and I know that he won the respect and the admiration of the locker room. His teammates could see that he was a really good player who gave the 49ers their best opportunity of winning football games. And now with this injury, and Brock Purdy still hasn't decided what he wants to do. There's still some unanswered questions. He's seeking medical opinions. Today he was going to go in and get a little bit more imaging on that elbow. And whenever they decide what to do, the exact course of action, and along with that will come an estimated time frame of when he can get back throwing a football, when he can get back getting cleared for practice and for play. I think that will kind of factor in big time what the 49ers expect to do with this. But, right now, if you're looking inside the building, it's Trey Lance. A year ago, Trey Lance was the starting quarterback in the 49ers offseason. And I would say as of this point, that's probably the most likely scenario, too, is that Trey Lance is back this offseason as the quarterback running the first-team offense when they hit the practice field for the first time in the spring, and then how Brock Purdy bounces back and when he's able to go, that will all go into the decision-making. But on kind of a linear track, you also have John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They have to consider other options, too. They have to look at this and go, okay, what about Aaron Rodgers? Is that feasible? What about Tom Brady? Is he as tired as he looked late in the season, or does he still have some good football remaining? Those guys would be slam dunk starters, obviously, if they came to the 49ers, as would say, Derek Carr, or if the 49ers would trade for Kirk Cousins, which I don't think that would be much of a possibility. I think a trade would probably be out of the question. The other thing that I'm sure that 49er fans are thinking too is Jimmy Garoppolo. But when you think about it, now with the information they have now, would Garoppolo be the number 3 quarterback behind Purdy and Trey Lance if those two guys are healthy? I think Jimmy Garoppolo will have an opportunity to be a starter next season somewhere else without any of the uncertainty that would follow him if he were to return somehow to the 49ers.
Matt, great stuff. Always good to catch up with you. We appreciate you. Thanks for the time. We'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. There goes Matt Maiocco, NBC Sports Bay Area on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. I don't see the Rodgers thing, and I know the Rodgers stuff is going to get played because it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't see it happening. I don't think Green Bay will trade him inside the NFC. I don't think they would trade him to a team that has a chance to win the entire thing next year. On top of that, the money you got to pay Rodgers and the picks that Green Bay, they're going to be wanting. You already gave up so much for Trey Lance. I mean, it's really difficult to just keep pouring so many assets into the quarterback position. Now for Rodgers, you would do it inevitably, but I don't see Green Bay pulling the trigger on that trade. I do not think the Packers would trade